приветствовать вас на наших занятиях. Сегодня мы будем изучать новую лексику, необходимую для понимания статей Европейской конвенции. И, конечно, мы продолжим знакомство с Европейским судом по правам человека. ЕСПЧ – высшая судебная инстанция для всех судебных систем европейских стран, включая Турцию, кроме Республики Беларусь, всего 47 государств. Обращаться с жалобами в Европейский суд по правам человека можно только против государств-участников Конвенции о защите прав человека и основных свобод. Это означает, что жалобы против частных лиц, физических или организаций являются недопустимыми. Однако, в некоторых случаях государство несет ответственность за действия частных лиц. Тем не менее, жалоба в любом случае подается против государства. European Court of Human Rights, Case Law, Unit 3, фрагмент 2. Exercise 1. Check your pronunciation. Arbitrary, prosecution, conviction, retrospective application of law, prescribe, penalty, criminal charge.
Arbitrary, prosecution, retrospective application of law, prescribe, penalty, criminal charge.
Exercise 2. Repeat after the teacher. Arbitrary, prosecution, conviction, retrospective application of law, prescribe, penalty, criminal charge.
Arbitrary, prosecution, conviction, retrospective application of law, prescribe, penalty, criminal charge.
Exercise 3. Repeat and remember the translation. Arbitrary,
Произвольный, необоснованный, самоуправный.
prosecution,
Уголовное преследование.
conviction,
Осуждение, признание виновным.
retrospective application of law,
Применение закона с приданием ему обратной силы.
prescribe,
Предписывать, назначать.
penalty,
Наказание.
criminal charge.
Обвинение в совершении преступления. Уголовное обвинение. Arbitrary.
Произвольный, необоснованный, самоуправный.
Prosecution.
Уголовное преследование.
Conviction.
Осуждение, признание виновным.
Retrospective application of law.
Применение закона с приданием ему обратной силы.
Prescribe.
Предписывать, назначать.
Penalty.
Наказание.
Criminal charge.
Обвинение в совершении преступления, уголовное обвинение. Exercise 4. Give your translation of the words. Arbitrary, prosecution, conviction, retrospective application of law, prescribe, penalty, criminal charge.
Arbitrary. Prosecution. Conviction. Retrospective application of law. Prescribe. Penalty. Criminal charge.
Exercise 5. Give your translation of the words. Произвольный, необоснованный, самоуправный. Уголовное преследование. Осуждение, признание виновным. Применение закона с приданием ему обратной силы. Предписывать, назначать. Наказание. Обвинение в совершении преступления, уголовное обвинение.
Произвольный, необоснованный, самоуправный. Уголовное преследование. Осуждение, признание виновным. Применение закона с приданием ему обратной силой. Предписывать, назначать. Наказание. Обвинение в совершении преступления. Уголовное обвинение.
Exercise 6. Let's practice. It should be construed and applied as follows from its object and purpose in such a way as to provide effective safeguards against arbitrary prosecution, conviction, and punishment.
It should be construed and applied as follows from its object and purpose in such a way as to provide effective safeguards against arbitrary prosecution, conviction, and punishment.
Article 7 of the Convention is not confined to prohibiting the retrospective application of criminal law to an accused person's disadvantage.
Article 7 of the Convention is not confined to prohibiting the retrospective application of criminal law to an accused person's disadvantage.
It also embodies, more generally, the principles that only the law can define a crime and prescribe a penalty, and that criminal law must not be extensively construed to an accused person's disadvantage, for instance, by analogy.
It also embodies, more generally, the principles that only the law can define a crime and prescribe a penalty, and that criminal law must not be extensively construed to an accused person's disadvantage, for instance, by analogy.
The criminal offense concept has an autonomous meaning, like criminal charge in Article 6 of the Convention.
The criminal offense concept has an autonomous meaning, like criminal charge in Article 6 of the Convention.
Я думаю, вы справились с этими заданиями. Теперь мы можем продолжить нашу работу. Exercise 1. Check your pronunciation. Be applied. Set out. Domestic law. Breach. Fall within. Criterion. Incompatible.
Be applied, set out, domestic law, breach, fall within, criterion, incompatible.
Exercise 2. Repeat after the teacher. Be applied. Set out. Domestic law. Breach. Fall within. Criterion. Incompatible.
Be applied, set out, domestic law, breach, fall within, criterion, incompatible.
Exercise 3. Repeat and remember the translation. Be applied.
Применяться,
Set out.
излагать,
Domestic law.
национальное законодательство,
Breach.
нарушение,
Fall within.
относиться, попадать под действие,
Criterion.
критерий,
Incompatible.
несовместимый. Be applied,
Применяться.
set out,
Излагать.
domestic law,
Национальное законодательство.
breach,
Нарушение.
fall within,
Относиться, попадать под действие.
criterion,
Критерий.
incompatible.
Несовместимый. Exercise 4. Give your translation of the words. Be applied. Set out. Domestic law. Breach. Fall within. Criterion. Incompatible.
Be applied, set out, domestic law, breach, fall within, criterion, incompatible.
Exercise 5. Give your translation of the words. Применяться. Излагать. Национальное законодательство. нарушение. Относиться, попадать под действие. Критерий. Несовместимый.
Применяться. Излагать. Национальное законодательство. Нарушение. Относиться, попадать под действие. Критерий. Несовместимый.
Exercise 6. Let's practice. The 3 criteria set out in the case of Engel and others versus the Netherlands for assessing whether a charge is criminal within the meaning of Article 6 must also be applied to Article 7. Classification in domestic law, the very nature of the offense, the most important criterion, see Uusila versus Finland. The degree of severity of the penalty that the person concerned risks incurring.
The 3 criteria set out in the case of Engel and others versus the Netherlands for assessing whether a charge is criminal within the meaning of Article 6 must also be applied to Article 7. Classification in domestic law, the very nature of the offense, the most important criterion, see Uusila versus Finland, the degree of severity of the penalty that the person concerned risks incurring.
In applying those criteria, the court held that a breach of military discipline did not fall within the criminal sphere for the purposes of either Article 6 or Article 7.
In applying those criteria, the court held that a breach of military discipline did not fall within the criminal sphere for the purposes of either Article 6 or Article 7.
In the absence of a criminal offense, the court found that the complaint was incompatible ratione materiae with the provisions of the convention relied upon.
In the absence of a criminal offense, the court found that the complaint was incompatible ratione materiae with the provisions of the convention relied upon.
Наше занятие подошло к концу. Вы выучили лексику и сможете теперь использовать ее в устной и письменной речи, например, при написании жалобы в Европейский суд по правам человека. Кстати, а знаете ли вы, какие условия необходимо выполнить для того, чтобы подать жалобу в ЕСПЧ? Давайте посмотрим видеосюжет.
The European Court of Human Rights is an international court which oversees compliance with the European Convention on Human Rights. At present, some 800 million people have the right to bring an application before the court. Every year, the court in Strasbourg receives over 50,000 new applications, yet about 90% of them are declared inadmissible. Why is that?
Simply because, in order to be admissible, applications must fulfill certain conditions. They can only be brought against states which have ratified the Convention. They cannot be brought against companies, individuals or states which are not members of the Council of Europe, such as the USA, for example.
The complaint must concern one or more rights which are actually protected by the Convention.
The applicant bringing a complaint against a state must be the victim of a violation of the Convention. You cannot challenge a law, for example, simply because you disagree with it.
The violation complained of has to have occurred after the date on which the Convention entered into force for the country concerned.
Before the court in Strasbourg can examine a case, applicants must take their case as far as they can in the national courts, including the highest courts. This is what we call exhausting domestic remedies.
Once the final decision has been pronounced in the domestic proceedings, the application to the court in Strasbourg must be brought within 6 months. Any later than that, and the application will be declared inadmissible. The date that counts is the date of the postmark.
Lastly, the court can reject an application if it considers that the victim has not suffered a significant disadvantage. If a single one of these conditions is not met, the court will reject the application.
Please note that the Strasbourg court cannot overturn decisions of the national courts. It is not a court of appeal.
To sum up then, for an application to the court to be admissible, it must be lodged against a state which has ratified the convention.
It must concern a right or rights covered by the convention.
The applicant must have victim status.
The application must concern events that occurred after the ratification of the convention by the state concerned.
All domestic remedies must have been exhausted.
The application must be lodged within 6 months of the final decision in the domestic proceedings.
The applicant must have suffered a significant disadvantage.